Gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the countryside out here in the UK. Welcome to Donington Park for round 5 of our championship, the ERA Sunday Championship, the second last round of the championship. And what better way to make it a little bit more fun than the second last round here at Donington Park, a 2.4 kilometer circuit with 12 corners to compete in, opened in 1931, then landed up closing, reopened in the 1970s, and has now carried its way through to present, becoming a GT staple for quite a number of years, whether you're in tin top racing, to have a bit of fun in GT3s or into historics, or if you want to go with a bit of motorbikes. Home to plenty of club racing, lots and lots of testing for cars, and has been a very interesting circuit in the past to go and deal with. Red Gate being where the pit lane exits straight onto the apex. It's also a very difficult corner to compete with. The pit lane entry is on the straightaway as you come out of the final corner. You've got to keep to the left-hand side nice and tight and try and duck your way in, not to get any speeding. We've seen in the past how this can turn the tide of battle, and we are going to see it here tonight for the second last round. Let's take a look to the circuit, as Tim gives us some brilliant views of the circuit at the moment. Drivers are giving it their absolute all to see who will stand out on top. So far, here we got Christian Fingler returning behind the wheel, looking to have a great time. Unfortunately, not in for the championship to join his fellow track tool team, but will be a key player in how this is all going to turn out, because for the Gold Championship, which is all the red borders who are out on the circuit at the moment, putting in their lap times, Lewis Knight leads the field, 11 points away from David Young in second. Patrick Bells holds third, with Richard van Heerde in fourth place. The South African trying to make his way back towards the top. Lewis Knight wanting to open up the distance. David Young there, Patrick as well. But don't count out likes of Nicholas Porras, who's been really stepping up the pace. Finn van Hollen, Chris Heineke, Aaron Schigel, along with Ulrich de Jager and Darren Christie, rounding out your top 10 in the gold division. Now at the moment, Finley Gamble holds the top of the cards with a 127.4, and you can see how close it is. It's literally 300ths of a second away from David Young in second place. Lewis Knight holds on to third with a Nissan GTR. Christian Fingler holds on to fourth place. He can be the pivotal role in how this championship goes by snatching some of the points away as he gets in with a 126.8 to retake that top spot. Darren Christie comes across in the McLaren, sitting in third place now, as the likes of Ulrich de Jager utilizing the tow from Rich van Heerde to pull himself along a little bit more, and he's hoping to keep the momentum. Patrick Bells sitting in third with Darren Christie, Finley Gamble, David Young, Lewis Knight, Nicholas Porras, Rich van Heerde, and Benjamin Till back behind the wheel of his BMW, lying in 10th place with a 128.0. So Benjamin Till, also known as Dr. Bean, will be trying to get a little bit of momentum after a bit of an interesting drive. Last week was racing in a local South African series, did rather well to get himself first time on the podium. He's looking to carry the momentum here for the ERA Sunday Championship with some of the best drivers in the world competing for top honors. And the second last round means it's everything to play for. Lewis Knight, who is 11 points away from David Young, is now seeing Christian Fingler, a friend now turned foe, going and holding the top of the cards, taking away that pole position, and is feeding him right into the clutches of David Young. Darren Christie at the moment, one of the quick cars trying to make his way through as he exits the final corner. 0.7 up. This is an opportunity to put Darren into pole position, and does so here at Donington. Darren Christie up into first place, is more than happy with that one, and is going to be thrilled with his time with a 126.7, raising the eyebrow of our platinum and diamond division who will be going out in the next 3 minutes and 30 seconds as our drivers need to really pick up the pace. Lewis Knight, 0.1 up on his time. This is going to be pretty good for him to move him into second place if he can carry the momentum through. Unfortunately, loses a little bit of drive. He manages to snatch third away from Finley Gamble. There's still time to go. Rich Van Eert, 0.1 up on his time. Patrick is 0.1 up on his time. Nicholas Porras holding 10th position at the moment for the gold division. Remember, lots to play for here. Patrick, playing within the top 5, needs to ensure he stays on the upper side of the battles. And with this circuit being so difficult to overtake on, it is critical to either make those passes in the pits or at the start, going and getting your qualifying just right. Christian Fingler now 0.3 up. Track Tool team going to be really happy with this one. Christian's been out of the seat for quite a lot of this season. He's up into first place with a 126.5. Once again, snatching those points away. Christian's been away, enjoying some time with his family, and now just getting to see the fruits of his labor from that little bit of rest, coming in rejuvenated and looking to take the fight towards the sharp end in the field. Gamble coming across the line, 0.1, and is up into third place. Darren Christie, 0.1. Lewis Knight, 0.1 as well. David Young, who is currently the quickest out on circuit, 0.6 up on his personal best, and getting very close to trying to take away that top spot. Gets around the final corner. David Young really pushing a little bit harder. This is going to be enough. He's up into second place with one more lap to try and crack it right. Christian Fingler is happy with his time. Waits in pit lane. Lewis Knight is out on circuit. Finley Gamble, Richard Van Eert, along with Patrick Bells, likes of Benjamin Till and Nicholas Porras are the last of the gold drivers out on circuit to make it work in their favor to see who's going to get this climb up towards the top. And what we'll try and do is we possibly have radio communication with Richard after the qualifying wheels to get a bit of an understanding of how it feels to be out there, because it is very, very cold conditions here at Donington. 17 degrees track temperature, 13 degrees air temperature, and that's how it all plays at the moment. Finley Gamble, 0.1 up on his time. Till, 0.1 up. Nicholas, 0.3 up. Those are the only drivers that seem to be really up on their time as they come across the board. Nicholas unable to improve. Benjamin improves. Richard down into 7th position as time ticks over. 40 seconds left of this lap to try and make it work. Richard, Patrick, Nicholas, all trying to get their last little runs in. Here comes David Young. This is his last push to try and get into that top spot. Unfortunately, out of the final corner, no improvement there, and we'll have to wait on second place of our gold division. Lewis Knight, Nicholas are 0.1 up on their time, but unfortunately not looking to be really in contention for the top spots at the moment. As we see the remaining of our gold drivers, they will be making their way through and look to get into the pits. Fortunately, Kenny the pole getting wiped out so early on. If you catch the Kenny reference, well, you grew up in a time that, well, some people will call a bit frightening. Richard, 0.1 up on his time. Nicholas, 0.1 up on his time. David Young trying to improve as well. But we will be releasing our platinums out onto the circuit. The likes of Paul Fenter was the first one waiting at pit lane with the Royal Jar, who is all the way out from France, hoping to stay at the top. Henry Platt, Mon Spritzer, a little bit further down, trying to make his way through. Daniel Mitzmer, Miles Stone, David Roth, all will be heading out onto the track. A little bit of a smaller grid here tonight for the second last round. Many of the drivers just trying to figure out what they can do to step it up. Let's see if we can possibly get onto comms with Richard and get an idea of how it is out there. So let's see if we can get hold of Mr. Van Eert before he gets ready to have a chat. So have notified. There we go, Richard. Welcome to the commentary box, and take us through that qualifying. How was it out there in some very, very cold conditions?
Miserable.
Well, I mean, that sums it up in one word.
And should have practiced this track a bit more. This is ugly stuff, eh? Yeah, difficult.
So, Richard, the championship at the moment, you're within the top 5, second last round. How are you feeling? What's the game plan, especially right here at Donington, which is a difficult circuit to overtake, difficult to get into the pits, and it's all about managing your gaps. What's the plan here to carry as many points heading into the final round next week?
Yeah, no, you just got to try. You got to hope for someone making mistakes out on track, eh? Because we've really messed it up. 6 in the gold will put me near the probably 4 or 5 from the back in the end, after the platinums and diamonds are finished. So one can only hope for a mistake. Maybe pit early and stay out of the traffic, but then you got to carry the tires for the long distance. So there's some options, but it's not rosy, eh?
Now I've got to go and ask. Racing throughout the season, how's it been for you? Because there's been some real big highs, a little bit of lows, but it seems like competition has been quite interesting.
Yeah, no, ERA is a very, very good platform, eh? I must admit, because in general the driving conduct is very good. And Laguna Seca got knocked out, unfortunately, partly my fault as well, I think. So then you would have had I was on for a very good finish there if I hadn't made the mistake so early in the race. But so that's the way cookie crumbles. But the racing is good, and where you land up.
And I've got to ask, anyone in particular that you're aiming to race with? We've seen whether it's pro, if it's diamond, platinum, or gold, you're willing to go elbows out with everyone. Which is the car that you keep an eye on to go and have a ton of fun out there with?
I'll obviously try and be the top South African first and foremost, and then see if we can take it to the Europeans as well, eh? But yeah, no one in particular, eh? It depends on track specific. Some of us are good at some tracks, some of us are better at other tracks. So the guys I'd normally be on at Laguna Seca, for example, competing with are now either ahead or behind me. So it's difficult, eh? There's no one in particular.
As long as they got 4 wheels, a steering wheel, and the motor, that's it. You going racing.
That's the fun.
Absolutely. Well, before I let you go to have a last minute chat with the rest of the team, get yourself organized, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to out in the virtual grandstands cheering you on? Because I know after this bit of racing, you're going to also be gearing up for your real life racing in a backdraft. You also drive an NX Legends. For those that don't know, please do look up the Legends series. It's around the world. Richard, anyone you want to give a shout out to in the virtual grandstands before we let you go and before hell lets loose here at Donington?
No, just anybody who watches these streams and participates, thank you very much for supporting it all. That's all it is. Nice of you guys to enjoy watching it, and we can perform for you guys. That's awesome. Sometimes we don't, but no one in particular, buddy. Yeah, no, looking forward to the in real life racing. The season starts. I think I'm also doing Polo Cup down in Cape Town in 2 weeks' time as well. So that's a new venture. So quite excited, yeah.
Well, I think the added one is the special thank you has to go to your wife that has to put up with all your racing.
Okay, you took the words out of my mouth, yes.
just so you're not sleeping on the couch.
But she doesn't listen to this.
Yet.
So I'm safe. Don't dare send her a message, okay?
All right, Richard, looking forward to having a chat with you a little bit later on, and good luck with the race. And we're looking forward to seeing how you go out in the gold.
Thanks, mate. Keep up the good work.
Absolutely wonderful to have a chat to Richard and getting a bit of an understanding of how it is out there, saying a little bit cold, a little bit miserable, but going to give it everything he's got. At the top of the board at the moment, Milestone with a 125.9. Daniel Mutsma down in 4th with Chris Wall in 5th. David Roth holds on to 6th position. Henry Platt down in 9th with a big Bentley, now dropping down to 10th. As the rest of the field coming through, Daniel Mutsma up into 4th, a real jar. Chris Wall, David Roth go and hold on to 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th position. Henry Platt, Martin Spritzer, and Paul Fenter round out the pack. Paul Fenter just going and creeping a little bit at the bottom, wants to really move forward, wants to try and figure out what the big plan is and how can he carry the momentum forward at the top. But a massive shout out to everyone in the virtual grandstands. A big welcome to you all out there. I can see you with your big winter coats on, keeping yourselves warm. And I see a couple of blankets getting hauled out. Got Antonio Gamble, Ruin Heineke, who we'll see in the car a little bit later on. Crazy stunts as well. We got Toki, who is cheering on from the sidelines. So many of well-known names and well-known legendary petrol heads coming and following the series since its early inceptions here at ERA. And we're looking forward to seeing how it all works out. At the moment, though, Milestone, comfortable, 125.9. David Roth currently 0.1 up. So the Fear the Bones, Honda in the Platinum is looking to try and close up that distance. Hasn't been the easiest run at Laguna Seca, but is going to be hoping to really make that work here at Donington to move his way forward through the championship. Now, we talk about the championship. Let's tell you who is where in that championship, because at the moment, Ricky Buckler leads out the championship, but is not on the track this evening. So, Ricky is going to be sacrificing this round as a drop round, but remember, he scored no points at Spa. So, this is only going to take him out of first place because he's used the drop round already. Henry Platt, who's in second, is going to be more than happy about it, along with Sebastian Luxen, who is not in the field tonight. We did learn about Sebastian having a bit of a problem with overheating issues not too long ago, and that took him out of the last race. So he's going to be going and sitting, just waiting for his opportunity. Milestone looks like he might be gaining third place just by finishing. Chris Wall in fifth with Paul Fenton in seventh. Neil Cabal, unfortunately, out of this round as well. That's going to make him out for 3 rounds, dropping him out of the top 10. Daniel Mutsuma, Martin Spritzer, and Andre Sorodio rounding out your top 10. David Roth into 11, Simon Kusat, Isam Domingo, Freddie Morelli, Skirt Reynolds, Flo Scup, Arul John, and Lucas Collab round out your championship. But big, heavy hitters for the Platinums not here tonight, and that means it's all on for just scoring points. Milestone leads out David Roth. Chris Wall currently hold on for third and fourth overall. David Young sits in second place. Christian Fingler in fifth. And we've got Daniel Mutsuma, Earl Jar, Paul Fenter, who continue to their way around. Lewis Knight and Darren Christie round out of the top 10, with Henry Platt and Mon Spritzer just falling out of that top 10. And with 50 seconds to go, need to get a time out on the board to move them back into that top 10. Mon Spritzer doing everything he can to try and get a little bit of momentum before we release our diamonds out onto the circuit. Can he get himself into the top 10 and a little bit closer to Roth and likes of Wall? Because remember, Milestone is going to be more than happy to stay ahead of David Roth, fellow American, who are fighting with one another to see who can stay at the top and see where they can fight their way forward. But we're also going to see a championship change here tonight. Not only are we going to see it in the gold division, not only are we going to see it in the platinum division, but we have got a lot on the line. Even our diamonds are now a bit worried of how the championships are going to go. And we'll talk to you about that just in a few moments as we keep an eye on Paul Fenter, 0.2 of a second up on his time. This is a good lap, and he's up into 6th. Couldn't quite get that top 5, and we'll have to just wait out ahead. Managing to pip Daniel Mutsuma right at the last, but Daniel still trying to get a time on the board. He's got the last 3 corners to contend with at the moment. Makes his way through the hairpin, a little bit of a kink that he needs to compete with, and then it's into the long left-hander, sweeps his way through later apex, 0.2 up. This is a good time. Can he get the drive all the way through and dives into the top 5? Daniel up into the top 5 to keep with Wall and Roth at this point. Henry Platt, unfortunately, could not improve his time too much to get himself into the top 3, but holds that 5th place now. So, as we now take a look to our diamonds, we got Sean Skitter, Rafa Sosa, Stephen Milano James, Christoph Peterson, Ruben Heineke, Bago Krobler, Jason Farmer, and Ernest Limburgs, who round out a pack. Let's possibly see if we can get in contact with Henry Platt after his qualifying, get an idea of what happened out there, and just to give us a sense of how's the circuit for the Platinums after they just got a little bit rubbered in. And we've got Henry. Henry, welcome to the commentary. We got you on the radio comms. How was it out there after qualifying on a very, very cold circuit, but has been scrubbed in a little bit?
I didn't put in enough fuel, so I only did like 3 or 4 laps on my first one, and I had to go out again. So yeah, the second time it was a bit easier, and I was lucky to actually get a timing.
Now, gotta ask, what's the game plan here at Donington? Difficult circuit, championship on the line, possibly able to jump up ahead of Ricky, who's not here tonight. Sebastian's not on your tail, but you do have a very, very close championship in the Platinum that can sway in anyone's favor.
Yeah, so I see Ricky's not here, but I think he's still got one that he can drop out. So
Not quite.
I just need to score some points. Or does he have?
Spa, he got 0. Wasn't able to get it across the line.
Okay.
So drop rounds out.
Okay, so
your drop round was Suzuka.
Yes, and then that means for me, like, I just need to get points here. Like, I don't need to win. I don't need to even be in the 5. I just some points.
So, game plan, Donington, a difficult circuit. Last time we've seen you go out here, we've seen the big Bentley visit the countryside. Is the concern that you may land up having to really get elbows out with some of the drivers?
Yeah, so with the era bulb that they are running here, the Bentley doesn't get all the LFM bulb it needs, and I find it quite tough actually. You need to be in TC0 to drive this, and I haven't learned to drive in TC0, which I tried, but yeah, it's tough. Like, look at the times these guys are going to set now. I'm not even close to that. So for tonight, probably very difficult to pass, and I might try to pass people by just not taking tires.
All right, and game plan for the rest of the champions, the second last round, your return to sim racing in full flight. Is the nerves starting to kick in that you've this close to the championship? You're this close to walking away as a platinum champion here at ERA in your debut.
Yeah, so it's would be cool to win it, but I'm very confident because the last track is Mount Panorama, which is by far my best track and my most favorite track. So I'm actually confident if I can get to that track in the running, then I think I'll make it.
Absolutely wonderful. Before I let you go to have a chat to the Moscow team and get the Bentley set up for the race, anything you want to say to the virtual grandstands now, and hopefully we'll get to have a chat with you at the end of the race.
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled for the chicane. There's going to be a lot of action there. People are going to spin out. There's going to be chaos, especially when they are following each other. So yeah. But thanks for watching, and enjoy the stream. Thanks for the stream as well, eh?
Wonderful to have you in. Henry Platt coming in, having a chat to us. It's wonderful to get to chat to the drivers a little bit after their runs. We managed to chat to Gold, we managed to chat to Platinum, get a bit of an idea of how things are going. 2 different perspectives coming in, and maybe one day we can get a Diamond to come and have a chat to us just for a brief moment about qualifying and give us a bit of an idea of what's happening out there. Christoph Peterson, currently top of the log, sitting with a 125.727. Rafa down in 3rd place behind Miles Stone. Sean Skitter holds on to 4th place, and Jason Farmer into 5th. Stephen Milano James is in 8th place at the moment, trying to make up some time. He's 0.1 up on his personal best. Ruan Heineke down in 11th position is 0.1 up. Johan Bego Grobler from Team Wolf is down 0.3. He's up 0.3 seconds on his time and has got Limburgs chasing him down. Now, we talked about how close the championship is in Platinum and in Gold. Let's give you an idea of what's happening now in Diamond, because Christoph Peterson sits top of the log with 68 points. Limburgs, his teammate and rival holds on to second with 65 points. Rafa Souza sitting on 63 points. Sean Skitter sits on 34. Jason Beam, unfortunately, not here tonight. Will be missing his third round and will be dropping out of that top 5. Steve Malona James, tied on points with him, has arrived tonight and will be flying it out. Ben Hicks, not here tonight, hold on 7th. Jason Farmer is in 8th place. Johan Bego Krobler sits in 9th. And Darius holds on to the top 10, but is not here tonight. The only driver that has completed all rounds, even when it's at its worst, well, the drivers that have done it, is the likes of Christoph Peterson, Limburgs, Rafa, unfortunately, we saw getting a DNF in the last round, Sean Skitter, and the likes of Ruan Heineke, who were the only ones that have managed to get themselves across the log at their time. So, Limburgs, Rafa, Peterson currently hold on to the top 3, with Limburgs at the moment looking like he's the quickest. If he can just put the corners all together towards the end here, can possibly put himself up into first place, taking that top spot away from his teammates. And will he be able to decrown the 9-time champion Christoph Peterson? Rafa, on his debut, unfortunately, is in a little bit of a rough stead right now. They do have a drop round to play with, but Rafa, who's in 3rd, has utilized that drop round at Laguna Seca. He's on 63 points. He's not out of contention as yet, but still has a chance on his debut to walk away with the championship. And what better way to snatch it away is to take it from the person who brought you in, likes of Christoph Peterson. Limburgs up into first place with a 125.7. Rafa currently 0.1 up on his personal best. 0.2 now. This is looking good. Can he get the drive? He puts his foot down and up at the top. Rafa holds first place, pipping Ernest Limburgs by 0.03 of a second across the line. Peterson holds on to 3rd. Milestone in 4th. Milano James, Skitter, Farmer still trying to get their way through. And let's see how it makes their way around the circuit. This is going to be an interesting run. And taking a look over to the virtual grandstand, one of the drivers going and enjoying the chat with everyone. We've got Christian Fengler. And I do want to take my hats off to Christian and his team. They've been frantically hard at work. Going again, the Drive for Dean event that's coming up later this year sorted out. Getting the Masters Series sorted out. And the ERA Championship. So wonderful to see that the team is working incredibly hard there. And it's good to see Christian returning. And still, I would like to report, he has notified me the racing boots still fit. He hasn't grown out of them as yet. The overalls are a little bit tight, but it's okay. He still fits in the car. Jason Farmer, 0.4 up on his time. Sean Skitter comes across. He's unable to improve. In 7th, 20 seconds to go. Farmer, 0.3 up. Can he get himself into the top 5 to really take the fight? But Miles Stone is in 4th as a platinum and takes the fight to the top. David Young, first to the gold, holds on to the top 10. Well, all our diamonds are there. Platinums and diamonds are out of the top 10, except for Young and Stone. So let's see, can Farmer crack it right for his last run around the corner? It's going to be foot flat in the Ferrari, boots his way across the line, and Farmer up into 6th. Well, me, oh my, well, oh my. This is gonna be fun. Donington is gonna be fun. Drivers at the ready, and we're about to see everyone pushing that one last time here at Donington before we head over to Australia for the absolute done, the finale. And we're looking forward to that. But however, second last round, this is make or break for the championship. How much momentum you're going to be carrying into the final round? How much momentum will you have to stay at the top of the log and see if you can fight for that championship? One victory here can absolutely take away a championship. Someone can be crowned champion here tonight if it all works out for them at Donington. However, here at ERA, it always comes down to the last ditch effort to make it work. Now, as the grid starts to get themselves sorted out, everyone starts to knuckle down, focus, get themselves ready. You'll see that times are starting to go on. You'll see there's like penalties. Why on earth is there penalties? Well, if it's first time joining us here at ERA, or if you want to have your memory jump started, first of all, welcome. Second, where have you been? It's been a great championship. Third, this is not penalties for being a naughty person. This is not the wooden spoon that comes down on you, but it's what we call success penalties. No one wants to see a race where you suddenly accelerating away, that you absolutely dominate the whole time. However, you got better and better and better and faster and faster and faster. Great. You've taken the victory in your last round. But now you need to learn something else. Because Evolution Racing Academy, we always love to teach something. We always love to test the skills, teach, and you force the brain to think a little bit more. It's not foot flat go. But now you have to take some consideration. So if you came first in your class, you got 15 seconds added to your time, which you serve during your mandatory pit stop. If you came second, it's 10 seconds. If you came third, it's 5 seconds. You serve that during your mandatory stop, which means you have to try and plan out your pit stops, working out spacing between your drivers. That means your pit stops become a little bit more interesting. Pit early, take that time, see if you can make it up, stretch the gap. That's what we've seen drivers do. However, that's per class. So, Limburgs, who walked away with a victory at Laguna Seca, is going to be happy about that. Came down to the wire between himself and Peterson. Will have 15 seconds he will need to serve, while Peterson only sits with 10. 5 seconds for Stephen Milano James will be sitting on his time and thinking about what's the big game for our Diamond division. Moving on to our Platinums. It was Paul Fenter who got the victory. We'll have 15 seconds to contend with. Henry Platt, that came in second place, will have 10 seconds to deal with. Unfortunately, third place, not arriving here tonight. So you're going to be facing that one. And we'll think about what you need to do. For our golds, it's an interesting one indeed. Lewis Knight, who came first, sits with 15 seconds. He holds on to 18th position. But as you can see, David Young, who is fighting with the championship, is clean ahead of him at the moment, sitting in 9th position. Ulrich Diaga has got 5 seconds, and he is currently sitting ahead of the driver that came second in last week's race. Sits with 10 seconds on the log. So here at Donington, it's cold. It's 13 degrees out there, enough to wear your winter coat. And also with 17 degrees track temperature, drivers are literally gonna be driving on ice while they make their way through for their formation and first 3 laps, folks. This is gonna be a nightmare of a drive, and you have got to be dead sure to take it nice and gently. Not push too hard, not think about it, just keep the momentum moving forward. And as the drivers make their way through, let's take a look at our wonderful, wonderful grid here at ERA for the second last round of the championship here at Donington for round 5 of the Sunday ERA Championship. Let's take a look at who is where. So at the moment, it's Rafa Souza who will start out in first place. Locking out the on second row is going to be Ernest Lindbergs, the two looking to take down the championship. Our champion who holds on to third, Christoph Peterson, with Milestone in fourth. Stephen Milano James will be chasing down. Remember, Milestone is a platinum driver who is punching way above his weight at the moment, but will be doing everything he can. Jason Farmer in 6th place, Jan Bago Krobler in 7th, Sean Skitter in 8th, David Young in 9th, Rern Heineke in 10th, David Roth, followed by Chris Wall, Henry Platt, Daniel Mutsma, Christian Fengler, Paul Fenter, Arul Jar, Lewis Knight, Darren Christie, Martin Spritzer, Finley Gamble, Richard Van Heed, Benjamin Till, Ulrich Diaga, Patrick Bells and Nicholas Porras round out your field here tonight. And with that being said, drivers at the ready, eyes to the front. For Rafa, it's all or nothing at the moment. Who needs to see who can move his way forward, who is going to be able to charge their way into the record books. A victory here for Christoph Peterson cements him into the championship to take it yet again for ERA. But if he loses out to Rafa and Ernest, he will lose the championship that he was leading heading into Bathurst, which brings it down to the wire. For the likes of our Platinum, Henry Platt needs to score a good haul of points here to make it work. At the moment, he is a little bit further down from where he wanted to be. And for our golds, Lewis Knight, who currently holds the advantage, needs a victory. David Young is going to be fighting through. He's going to be pushing. Richard Van Heed, so many others. And Christian Fengler, who's not in for the top 5, can absolutely steal points away. It is going to be mental. It's going to be crazy. And folks, we got one corner to go before we get ready to go green. So 1 hour of racing for round 5. One mandatory pit stop. Lights on. Lights on. Lights on. Drivers at the ready. Gently moving their way down. Jim is ready on the button. And away we go racing. Charging down into turn 1. A little bit of contact between Rafa trying to close up on Limburgs into the first corner. The two of them, argy-bargy, as drivers make their way through. All looking pretty clean at the moment. No one going off into the dirt. But it's Limburgs up to the top. Jason Farmer fighting it out, trying to move forward. Loses out to Jan Bego Krobler. Miles Stone moves forward. Rafa into the dirt with those cold tires. Now slipping back into the grid. Heads into 4th as Stephen Milano James holds the inside line. Clears on through. Farmer losing a little bit of drive to Sean Skitter having a shot at him. Ruan Heineke, his teammate on the back, has got David Roth. Chris Wall is chasing him down. Chris Wall on the back of Ruan Heineke into that top 10. Wants to get closer to Milestone. He's got Henry Platt keeping the pressure on at the moment. So all looking good. And David Young, who started out first place, is down the order. And the 315 landing up with a bit of a problem. So this is off the start, who was leading the gold. David Young, unfortunately, landing up in a bit of an argy-bargy moment. Let's see where exactly it came in. There is Heineke looking on the inside. Oh, contact from Roth from behind. Spins him out. Puts him to the back end of the field. And now try and make his way through. Lewis Knight and Patrick, unfortunately, run into a little bit of contact. Lewis Knight got Mon Spritzer on the back of him. Patrick a little bit further down, trying to pick up the pieces from that little bit of contact as they make their way through. Oh, bit of a turnaround. Farmer and Heineke. There is quite a bit of carnage going on as drivers feeding left and right, trying to see what they can go. Farmer, and it would look like Darren Christie as well, getting involved in that mix. So let's see what exactly happened here, because right behind him is Sean Skitter. Then we got Ruan Heineke, Chris Wall. Oh, look on the inside. Bego Krobler closes the door. A little bit of a turnaround. And there's where it all went wrong. Unfortunately, quite a few cars getting caught out. Richard trying to feed his way through. Ends up in the dirt trying to get a little bit of an overtake side by side with Lewis. But not the way the Griffin Sim Racing team wanted it to end up. And Darren Christie down at the back of the field now in 26th position. As everyone trying to jostle for position. Paul Fenter on the back of Ruan Heineke, who we saw landing up in the dirt. Ulrich Diaga fighting out against Daniel Mutsuma and Jason Farmer lurking behind as Daniel goes for the inside line. And it does look like Ulrich Diaga not only going to lose out the drive, but had suddenly Nicholas having a go. Farmer tried to have a look around. David Young now trying to go around the outside to move his way forward. There is brawls everywhere. Heineke turned round. Heineke turned round and nearly landing up in pit lane. It looked like it was contact with Paul Fenter, who tipped him a little bit through the final corner. And Heineke had to wait to get himself back up and going. What on earth happened there? Let's quickly go to the helicam and find out what exactly happened through the final corner. So it was side by side with one of the track tool team. Paul Venter looks for the inside line, tries to carry it through. Heineke try to close the door a little bit. There's the swap round, and unfortunately for Heineke, stopped wrong way through, had to wait for the field before he could get himself going. Paul Venter got fouled up after that and immediately had Nicholas trying to take a look down the inside into turn 1. For Heineke, it's gone from bad to worse at the moment, trying to move his way through the order, and now sits way down in 24th position with David Roth and Darren Christie, who are behind him, that have also been involved in a little bit of problems off the start. David Young trying to catch up to Nicholas, now has Jason Farmer having to go around the outside in through the dirt. Farmer not having any easy time, will go late on the brakes around the outside, couldn't quite get it done, and unfortunately now needs to really battle for the inside line against the Gold driver, as Farmer, who's swapped out from the top 10, will have to pull his way back through the field. Platt keeps the pressure on and will bide his time, trying to see where he can go. David Young looks to try and close up the gap. Christian Fingler will be scoring maximum points if he stays in first, which is not going to help out Lewis Knight and Rich Van Heed, who currently holds on to 3rd place in the gold division. Ulrich de Jager holds on to 4th. Nicholas Porras, David Young, Patrick Bells along with Benjamin Till, Finley Gamble and Darren Christie round out our gold. But at the moment, it's Limburgs who holds the top of the log for our platinum, our diamond division, with Christoph Peterson and Stephen Milano James. Vego Krobler trying to make a move on 1st place of platinum. Miles Stone with Chris Wall holding 2nd place, and Naril Jar currently holding on to 3rd. All turning into a bit of a topsy-turvy event here, and Miles Stone holding his own against the diamond drivers as Bago looks for the inside line, couldn't quite get that done. Will have to bide his time with that Mustang just to wait for an opportunity to get the jump on the Ferrari. Paul Venter trying to catch up to Ulrich de Jager, the 2 South Africans. Not going to have an easy time there. And Ulrich de Jager, who's been in communication with his team after having to see the contact going around, will be well enough aware of what's happening. Finley Gamble, who was part of an earlier contact, gets ahead of Benjamin Till on the inside through the hairpin. Benjamin Till now needs to try and see where he can capitalize. Look for the inside on Finley Gamble. Gets a snap round, not able to get the momentum through. Gamble up in the order, going to be happy about that. Heineke, David Roth and Darren Christie rounding out the pack at the moment, just keeping themselves going. Lewis Knight out of the top 10. Remember, he's got 15 seconds to go and serve as well. We'll have to wait for his opportunity to get that done and dusted without compromising. Everyone looking to go a little bit longer. No early pit stops like we've seen in the past. Daniel Mutsimo, Martin Spritzer and Richard Van Heed now on back of one another, with Richard, who holds on to 3rd, has got 2 drivers he hasn't got to concern himself with. Can mind out the way, let these drivers through, pull him up a little bit closer to Lewis Knight and see if he can stay in for the mix. But Richard, as he said, will fight tooth and nail with everyone out there and give it his absolute all. For Martin, this is worst case scenarios. Daniel is now right on the back of him, and if he can't clear Richard, he's going to have this ascend on the inside. Daniel gets it hooked through the hairpin. Can he get the drive on Martin, and has done so? Martin looks to try and get right underneath him, looked around the outside, no room to get on by, and will have to wait yet again. Tries for the undercut, but there's a little too much room to play with, a little unsteady on the exit, and now Ulrich de Jager will be on the back of him. Benjamin Till, losing out to David Young, will now also try and move his way back through the order. Young, who needs to keep the climb at the moment, considering he started first in the gold, now starts is lying 22nd and 3rd last from back, as we do see Benjamin Till riding off into the dirt. Jason Farmer trying to close the distance on Nicholas at the moment. Circuit becoming rather difficult for drivers to not only overtake, but to carry the momentum behind vehicles. The error wash starting to affect the cars, losing that little bit of grip on the nose and on the rear. You start to feel it through the corners. You're picking up understeer, and it will also start chomping into the life of those tires. As we do see Farmer get the run on Nicholas, trying to see if he can carry the momentum in through the chicane. Look for the inside, backed out of it. Will rather just try and focus on the exit to work out in his favor. Unfortunately, not working enough, as Nicholas has a pretty happy and healthy 0.3 of a second ahead of the Ferrari. Ulrich Diaga on the back of Mons Spritzer, 0.5 of a second, loses out a little bit of drive. Paul Venter, 0.8 off the back of him, trying to make it up under braking, not having an easy go, as everyone trying to move forward. David Roth holds on and tries to look for the inside of Ren Heineke. He was able to get the drive, but only just at this point. Will try and smile his way through, but Ren Heineke looked for the inside into one, backed out of it, but definitely showing intent of, listen, I'm here, I'm going to make this work, and we're going to stay in for the fight. Stephen Milano James battling out with Rafa. Remember, started out in first place, now lying in fourth after running into the dirt with those cold tires. Now has to try and clear the 296 Ferrari ahead of him. Nissan GTR, the Godzilla, the Apex Predator, has to get past the Cyber Racing Stephen Milano James, who will be more than happy to take the fight to the sharp end of the field. Holds on to third. He sees Christoph Peterson ahead of him, and Limburgs stretches open that gap a little bit more. Limburgs at the moment holds the fastest lap time of the race, and that means when you get to your fastest lap time in your class, that is 1 point that goes to you. Just by getting the fastest lap, you score an extra point. Nicholas around the outside loses out to Jason Farmer. Henry Platt going to have a go at him. And Nicholas, who is a Gold Division driver, is trying to consider his options here of where does he need to be on circuit to catch up to Richard, Lewis Knight, and Christian Fengler, who currently hold on to the top three of the Gold Division. Ulrich Diaga, he sees that he's got a little bit of climb ahead of him. Now we'll be focusing on where can he get that bit of momentum, who can he get the toe with to pull himself that little bit closer to the sharp end of the field. Platt tries to go around the outside, look for the inside line. Not able to get it sorted out yet, but running very, very close at the moment. A little bit of a snap under braking. We heard he's having to run the TC rather low on the car, so he is really just trying to feel it out and really focusing on throttle control to hold it all together. Ulrich Diaga, Mons Spritzer, another little fight capitalizing at the moment, with Ulrich Diaga running fourth in the Gold Division, fighting against Mons Spritzer, who currently holds lying fifth in the Platinums at the moment. Drivers trying to figure out where can they get this move. Patrick now next to be looked at as Finley Gamble, having a look on the inside. David Young gets a pass done, focus on the exit, and now eyes out Patrick in that BMW just ahead. Seeing Jason Farmer looks on the inside of Paul Venter, wasn't able to get the drive as Paul slowed it up on the apex, and now Nicholas tried around the outside. Farmer locks down, tries to slow it up on the apex, really gets a tough time on the exit. It brought Nicholas a bit closer, but was able to hold the apex just that little bit more. The drivers going to be considering who can they work with at the moment to try and move them up through the order. Sean Skitter loses it into the dirt. Skitter into the dirt, trying to get himself going. Wall gets by. Fengler gets on by. And that, unfortunately, Sean Skitter trying to restart the car, falls down through the field, rejoins and nearly has Martin Spritzer into his door. Ulrich Diaga was just keeping a very close eye on that. And now Sean Skitter has his own teammate, Paul Venter, closing up on the back of him, saying, hey buddy, listen, whatever went on with you, you can't hold me up here. I need to get a little bit more of a climb. I need to score points for my championship. Daniel up into fourth place in class on the back of Richard van Heerde, trying to see where he can go. Richard in 11th place, third in class, has a look on Lewis Knight, who is in the same class as him. Richard wants to clear past the likes of Lewis Knight because he's got a 15-second penalty. If he can just keep there, he is all okay. Doesn't have to worry too much about the likes of Christian Fengler, who holds on to first place. He's in 8th. He's got a lot of room to play with here and can continue moving forward. Ulrich Diaga now fighting out against Paul Fenter. Jason Farmer hooked behind him. Farmer looked to the inside, and that is no luck. Sean Skitter and Ulrich Diaga a little bit of an argy-bargy contest along with Martin Spritzer, but all just sharing paint with one another, trying to find the same piece of track. And we got problems. Heineke and Roth, contact between the two of them. 25th and 26th, right at the back. Unfortunately, getting into a worst case scenario. So let's take a look. David Roth in the Honda NSX versus Ruan Heineke in the Ferrari 296 up ahead. The Griffin Sim Racing first Fear the Bones. Roth looks for the inside line. He tries to capitalize on it and contact with the two. He does wait up for the likes of Heineke to retake the position before they carry on. So a little bit of a gentleman show between them. However, costing a lot of time and taking a lot of life out of the tires. Limburgs, once again, fastest lap of the race as Gamble gets past on Nicholas, who gets a poor exit. Now Young is going to have a good run on the inside. Will continue to keep the chase down into the hairpin. Late on the brakes, Nicholas holds back the likes of Young, and that brought Benjamin Till a little bit closer in towards the fight. Rafa keeps very close to Stephen Milano James, unable to get a pass as yet, as he looks to try and capitalize at the moment. Milano James getting a little bit out of shape on corner exit, starting to feel that pressure, watching the mirror little by little, and that is starting to impact his race. Those corner exits becoming a little bit wider, and every time he dips a wheel into the dirt, it's a possibility to land up spinning the car. To get an impact against the wall here, there is a lot of runoff, but when it happens, it is extremely fast and will send you back into the pits, losing a lot of time. Skitter tried to get past Spritzer. Unfortunately, he couldn't get that pass done. Ulrich Diaga closes up at a rate of knots to see if he can get involved with the fight, as we do have David Young into pit lane, the first of the drivers to get into pit lane. Bego Krobler up on the inside of Miles Stone, trying to get the exit. Miles goes for the cutback. Side by side they go. V8 first, V6. And it looks like Bego managing to just snatch the position away. Goes right across the nose of Miles Stone, but now needs to try and keep that Mustang in check, as he will have Miles keeping within the slipstream, focusing on his charge. Richard trying to get the momentum, lost out the run on the outside to Daniel Mutsma. Look for the inside through the final corner. Daniel runs out wide. Richard comes back with the drag race. Side by side they go, heading down towards turn 1, but Daniel just eking out that little bit more pace. Martin Spritzer and Sean Skitter having the exact same fight as Jason Farmer pulls into the pits. Farmer getting his pit stop out of the way to see if he can possibly turn this race around. Sean Skitter, Martin Spritzer, Paul Fenter, Ulrich Diaga, closest fights out on circuit at the moment, as Young now rejoins right behind the likes of Rafa Sosa in 4th, and will try and follow his way through. For David Young, it's all or nothing, especially after a start like that. Ulrich Diaga and Paul Fenter brawling between one another. Fenter took the option for the outside line in the dirt to try and get ahead of Ulrich Diaga and trying to close up to Sean Skitter, but it was Ulrich who went and just bided his time, kept the pressure on, said, listen, I'm in 4th place in my class here. I'm going to make you earn that spot to try and help out where I can. However, you need to really keep up the pace, because I can't afford to lose a little bit of time to Richard at the moment. Henry Platt right on the back of Ulrich Diaga, trying to see where he can get that pass done. Daniel Mutzberg for the proper racing, all over the back of Lewis Knight, who holds 2nd place in the gold division. For Daniel, who holds 4th in the platinum class, is trying everything he can, desperately hunting for any little gap, as Limburg's landing up a little bit further back through the field. It was a slow run for Limburg's, and he is now sitting 4th. What on earth happened to Limburg's? Oh, lost it through the dirt. Got it properly into the dirt. From first to fourth. Holds the fastest lap, but now just sacrifice the positions away. Going and keeping an eye, carrying too much momentum. Understeer came in. Christoph Peterson, Steve Milano, James, Rafa Souza all got round him. And now he's got to try and claw his way back through the field. And that is a nightmare scenario. Now he's got Bego Krobler all over the back of him to keep the pressure on. Mon Spritzer right on the back of Sean Skitter. Couldn't quite get that pass done and dusted. Focuses on his exit. Now has Paul Fenter hunting him down for Spritzer. He's got to concentrate on Paul Fenter, who is a class position that's lurking around him. Ulrich de Jager, who is a gold division's not too far back, but he's got Henry Platt waiting in the wings, hiding behind that big wing of the BMW, and will be a viable threat to try and get past. So Paul Fenter applies the pressure, waiting for his chance. Farmer and Young have gone through the pits. They are racing till the very end. Both drivers dived into the pits, got themselves sorted out. Both put a new set of boots on the car with a full refuel and continuing their race till the very, very end. So with 40 minutes to go, it is Christoph Peterson, Steve Milano, James, and Rafa Souza who currently hold on to the top three in their class. Dennis Lindbergh's a little bit further down in fourth, and Beggar Krobler hold on to the top five. Then Miles Stone leads out the Platinum Division with Chris Wall in second place, trying to close up the distance. Errol Jar holds on to third. Christian Fingler in 8th position, first in the gold class. Keeps away from Lewis Knight, who's in rounding out our top 10, second in class, with the likes of Daniel Mutsva in 11th. Rich Van Heed currently holds on to 12th position, third in the gold class. Sean Skitter down in 13th. Mon Spritzer, Paul Fenter, Ulrich de Jager, Henry Platt, Patrick Bells, along with Finley Gamble, Nicholas Porras, Benjamin Till, Darren Christie, Ruan Heineke, and David Roth. A little bit further down in 24th, Jason Farmer and David Young round out the field. 26 cars started, 26 still remain. Drive-through penalty for Benjamin Till for track limits exceeded. Benjamin Till will have to go through the pits with track limits exceeded. The frustration that must be coming in from that driver. Unfortunately, just running a little bit wide and getting himself caught out. Henry Platz and Ulrich de Jager fight it out between one another as they keep an eye on the rest of the field. Roth is going to be quite happy. He scored position. Benjamin Till, unfortunately, in pit lane, trying to drive his way out now. Will rejoin in 24th position and has to keep an eye on what he needs to do. He will have to visit the pits yet again for his mandatory pit stop, making it 2 times. Is visiting 2 times. He's going to be losing that little bit of a run. So drivers hoping to carry the momentum through till the very end. Everyone looking to dive their way through, looking to cement themselves in the legacy of ERA in all their classes. Lewis Knight has got Daniel Mutsma right on the back of him, but take a look in, lurking about a second behind, looking in the wings, is Richard Van Eed and Sean Skitter, who's trying to close up the distance as well. So don't count out Richard just as yet. He's waiting, biding his time, seeing if there's an option here to get past Lewis Knight by utilizing the faster cars around him, and hoping that that is going to now change the entire game as Skitter locks in on the inside of Richard, who is forced to the outside, loses that little bit of time, but now Richard can utilize Sean Skitter as the wrecking ball to get past Mutsuma and closer to Lewis Knight. Nicholas holds on to the back of Gamble at the moment. Finn Gamble for the 2ID team keeps a very, very close eye on Nicholas Porras, trying to see where exactly it's all going to work out for him. Ruan Heineke, Darren Christie working with one another to see how far they can move up through the order, not wanting to get caught out as Lewis Knight now has Daniel Mutsma looking to go around the outside. Knight holds the inside line. Is he going to give it a little bit of a lift? Not quite. He's going to brake hard, try and hold the apexes through Daniel Mutsuma loses out the drive with a bit of a snap oversteer. That's got Sean Skitter coming at him. Looks around the outside. Skitter hopes to try and get the sweep through. Daniel guards the line, holds the apex. That's brought Richard a little bit closer. Mon Spritzer takes a dive on Paul Fenter, who looks to try go for the cutback. Drag race on the way through. Paul Fenter unable to get the run on Spritzer. We'll have to wait. Sean Skitter side by side with Daniel Mutsuma. Two of them argy-bargy with one another. Little bit of knock. Once again, a little bit. Oh, it's getting close. Richard goes out wide, seeing these two sharing paint all over again, and just opting not to do it again as Richard gets past the likes of Sean Skitter, ventured into the dirt, now has to focus on Daniel Mutsua, who will share paint with him. So he's got to try and line that car up just right, not to get leaned on too hard. Paul Fenter has got Martin a little bit up the road. Henry Platt and Ulrich Diaga continue their way through, but it's out towards the podium at the moment as Rafa has a go on Stephen Malone. James couldn't quite get the pass done and dusted. We'll have to wait, and we have got word. Richard into the dirt and landed up into the dirt. What on happened to the 131 car of Richard van Heerd, who landed square into the dirt? There is Sean Skitter trying to get round him. Did Skitter push a little too hard onto the rear of Richard? Try to look for the inside. Oh, man, a dive for the same piece of tar. Richard gets the smack, and unfortunately, that throws him down the order. For Richard, that is third place taken down the order, and not the way he wanted to play ball there. And now a lot of hard work to make up that time. Henry Platt running into a bit of a run with the likes of Ulrich Diaga just ahead of him. Sees Sean Skitter rejoin. Skitter moves up ahead. Oh, Platt getting a little bit leaned on as Skitter tried to mind out of the way for Diaga. That forced him out wide, and a little bit of sharing words in the helmets there. Rafa closes the door on Stephen Malone James right at the last through the chicane and carries his way through. But for Skitter, I think it's elbows out racing on his part, especially with the frustration of having the likes of Daniel Mutsma and the two of them coming to blows. I think now starting to hunt through the field and getting that same frustration bleeding through, and that's cost a bit of time. Ulrich Diaga inherited third place away from Richard, who was holding it at this point and closing the gap to the likes of Lewis Knight. Paul Fenter looked for the inside. He really cut the corner a bit there, and unfortunately that's going to be flirting with track limits in for the run. Ulrich Diaga now sees Sean Skitter, launches it down the inside line. Paul Fenter tried to go for the cut back on Mon Spritzer, couldn't quite get it done, and there's Ulrich Diaga giving a little bit of room, not opting to fight. Chris Wall into the pits, Arul Jar into the pits from the top 10, and Ernest Limburg still holds on to the fast lap time of the race at the moment. But pit stops starting to creep in. Benjamin Till, who did a drive-through, will now see himself into the dirt, and unfortunately not having an easy time out there. Ruben Heineke into the pits, trying to get his pit stop out of the way. Seeing where it all works out. Rich van Heerd back up into 18th position as he tries to close up the difference. Mon Spritzer and Paul Fenter fighting it out for that final stop on the podium for the Platinum, as we do see Skitter landing up into the weeds. Skitter in the 13 car lands up into the weeds. Let's take a look at what happened here, as not quite what he wanted to have. Frustration crept in late on the brakes, turns in, hooks a curb. Oh, the car just slides out underneath him, bottomed out on the curb, impact against the wall. That's a bit of damage. And now running further down, Darren Christie going to have a go around the outside as you see Sean Skitter try to open up just a little bit to break the toe. He's going to be hunting his way through the field yet again. Wall up into 21st ahead of Real John. Ren Heineke into 23rd. Benjamin Till into the pits, getting himself sorted out. Milestone keeps the pressure on. Bago Krobler getting really close to those track limits and battling his way through. Darren Christie keeps the pressure on Sean Skitter, who gets it wrong. Skitter into the back of Darren Christie. Daniel Mutsua, Patrick, Nicholas Porras into the pits. Skitter, I think, was aiming to get into pit lane, slowed up, and that landed up with a contact. Let's quickly go back a little bit. Let's take a look on board. I've got a funny feeling Skitter tried to slow the pace up to get into the hairpin, but Darren Christie was there, so he was holding it inside, braked late. Oh, never mind, just got it out of shape, clipped the nose against the McLaren, got the car restarted, and went back into pit lane to try and get that car all organized after a bit of a rough one. But talk about a race going from bad to worse for Sean Skitter, and that has thrown him down the order, and will be trying to think what's the next best plan here. Daniel Mutsberg against Raul Jar now, who is continuing his momentum. Raul in 18th position, will be smiling at the moment, currently holding on second for those that have completed all their pit stop. Chris Wall is currently up into 17th, who's completed all his pit stops. Paul Venter keeps the pressure on Martin Spritzer, the two of them going and waiting their time. Ulrich de Jager into the pits from 12th. Finley Gamble dives into the pits as well, trying to eye out his best options. And Richard Vanier into pit lane. So quite a few of the drivers now starting to think it out. They got to 30 minutes. They've gone that halfway, getting close to the halfway mark, and now trying to figure out what is the best game plan here. For those that are still out, like Peterson, who's got 10 seconds he needs to serve during his stop. Rafa Sosa has got nothing to serve. Steve Malone James has got 5. Limburgs has got 15. And the likes of Lewis Knight, who leads out the goal, is second in the goals, has got 15 to deal with. Paul Fence has got 15 seconds to deal with Henry Platt on 10. Those are the drivers that still need to get those stops done, but they do have penalties, success penalties applied to them. As the rest of the field complete all their stops, it's 1st to 12th that need to get their pit stops done and dusted. I'm trying to figure out what's the best options here, as Paul Fenter continues the fight with Monspritz at the moment. Miles Stone, who is way up the road from these two, is going to be more than happy to see them finding out, see the drivers battling. Darren Christie loses out to Patrick Bells at the moment, who has got a lot more life in the tyres and has been really pushing a little bit more. Lewis Knight dives into pit lane. That frees up Henry Platt to go on the tack. Lewis Knight now needs to serve his 15-second success penalty with his pit stop. Needs to come out ahead of David Young if he wants to keep his championship hopes alive. Darren Christie and Patrick Bells continue on the momentum, seeing where the two of them are going to work out. Roth going and gaining a position over Lewis Knight will continue to stretch open the gap a little bit more from the rest of his platinum counterparts. However, is a little too far back from the top three and will be hoping for a possible undercut or to really roll the dice and go for the overcut. We're pushing that a little bit more, get it as far into the race as possible, that last 10 minutes to get the cars done as they fill these to the absolute brim. Miles Stone into pit lane. This is an interesting call for Miles. First in the platinum. We'll keep an eye out on Mon Spritzer and Paul Fenter, whether they're going to go for the pit stop or go long. Henry Platt, who is behind them, will be eyeing out for the advantage as well. So Miles, who is now in pit lane, we'll just keep an eye and see all three of our top runners in the platinum come cruising on by, not concerned about getting into the pits. So Spritzer, likes of Spritzer, Fenter and Platt are going to go that little bit longer into the race and see where it turns out. Christian Fingler holds on to 6th and is leading out the gold division. Christoph Peterson, Rafa Sosa, Steve Milana James and Ernest Limburgs, who is battling to get the grip out of the car, now trying to fight his way through. Jace Farmer gives him a little bit of room, saying, don't worry about me, bud. Going to give you that little bit of room to move forward. Let's continue on the drive. I'm sitting in 15th at the moment, but I am leading out those that have done their pit stops, and that is of the Diamonds. He's now a lap down on them, but anything can happen, especially here at Donington Park for the second last round of the championship, for the ERA Sunday Championship. Drivers are really looking concerned. Teams are nervous of what's going to happen. David Roth in pit lane, falling down further and further. Heineke all over the back of Patrick. Has got Darren Christie keeping him very, very close company at the moment. Begor Krobler into the pits. That allows Christian Fengler to move forward. Here comes Juan Spritzer, Paul Fenter, and Henry Platt. They're going to continue moving forward. Krobler now down the order, is trying to see if he can keep ahead of Jason Farmer from the pit stop. Farmer, who's had a very, very difficult race, unfortunately landing up pointing the wrong direction more than once, much like his teammate will be thinking about it. Oh, just talking about Farmer. Commentator's curse into the wall, back first, and now keeps an eye to try and rejoin safely with the rest of the field who are fighting it out. Heineke and Patrick trying to make their way through, but for Farmer, this is just worst case scenario for him. And as he tumbles down the order, he's just trying to get that car back up and going, just trying to straight line. Oh no, he's into the wall. Jason Farmer, I think, has now run into a bit of a problem with his car and couldn't quite stop it as it rolled straight on into the wall. And now just trying to see where he can go. Daniel Mutsuma landing up with a bit of contact as well. The 137 fights out against the rule. Stephen Milana James loses it. Milana James in towards dirt. From second place, Rafa, Ernest, and the likes of Christian Fengler into the pits. But for Stephen Milana James, that is a critical mistake, and will be going and hurting him now. Henry Platt into the pits. David Young got the pass, and we're down to 25 cars as Jason Farmer looks like he's retired the Ferrari after a bit of a problem. Farmer retires his Ferrari to get a DNF for the second last round of the championship of the ERA Sunday Championship. Oh no, come on, Jason. You're 8th in the championship. You've already had no points at Suzuka. You missed out Spa. Now you got Donington. It's 23 minutes. You've seen the green. Gotta see it through to the end, buddy. Come on, Farmer. Get that car out. Get it going. This is a call to the Griffin Sim Racing team. That Ferrari can see the end. That driver can see the end. We've got 26 cars that started. We're going to have 26 finish this race as Lewis Knight gets ahead of Ruin. Heineke lands up into the dirt. Stephen Milana James into pit lane. Mon Spritzer and Paul Fenter continue their way on, and Christoph Peterson as well, as they are the only drivers that still need to do their pit stop during the course of this race. Milana James is keeping a very close eye on Rafa Souza at the moment as he tries to make his way around the final corner. This is going to be tight between them. Milana James still in pit lane, waiting to get off those jacks. Now sees the Nissan GTR closing, and takes over second place. Will Begor Krobler be able to do exactly the same? Yes, he does. Begor up into 5th place. Milestone, who is now trying to close up the gap, leads out those who have done their pit stops in the Platinum, gets ahead of Steve Milana James in through turn 1. Milana James into the dirt. The rear snaps on him, trying to rejoin safely. We'll see likes of Limburgs coming back at him at a rate of knots as Limburgs tries to close the distance to Stephen Milana James. Needs to try and grab as many positions as possible for it to work out in his favor to beat out Christoph Peterson. Paul Fenter, Mon Spritzer, and Peterson hold on to the top 3 overall. and all three drivers need to pull in the pits. Well, we got alert that Christoph Peterson now into the pits. Spritzer and Fenter, will they take the note to dive into pit lane, or are they going to go that lap longer? Paul Fenter gets into the pits, leaving Spritzer to take over the lead of the race. Limburg's onto the back. Stephen Milano-James looks for the inside. Both drivers made critical errors during the course of this race. Now need to really get the hammer down. Close up on the field as Christoph Peterson leaves pit lane and falls behind Begor Krobler, who now will be doing everything he can to try and hold back Christoph Peterson. Stephen Milano-James and Limburg's in turn one fight it out, looking to really go the extra mile. Rafa holds on to the lead of the race. Krobler into second. If Krobler can hold Peterson back, the championship fight will go down to the final round of this race, of the championship. It will go down to likes of Bathurst. So if Peterson can't clear Krobler, he will have to fight it out at Bathurst for the victory. Rafa will have an opportunity here to stay in for the fight to the championship, and if Krobler can force Peterson into a mistake, that will bring Limburg's closer into the fight as well. Miles Stone, who's more than happy to keep ahead of the likes of Daniel Mutsuma and Aurel Jar, who are fighting for second and third at the moment. Well, they're running for third at the moment. Chris Wall holds on to second place. Christian Fengler taking away critical points away from Young, Gamble, and the likes of Lewis Knight. Lewis, who's right the way back through the field, is going to be scratching his head because now it has just taken the gold championship and leaving it to the last round as Daniel and Aurel Jar are fighting it out tooth and nail. Both drivers not giving an inch right now. Both drivers trying to see who can move forward, who can stay in for the fight, and who is going to be walking away at the top of the cards. A very tough race. Darren Christie and David Roth had a little bit of a coming together, sharing paint, but they were able to get it going. As unfortunately, only driver that is retired out of this race is Jason Farmer, who we saw just unfortunately looks like brake failure that got him into the wall, and the team trying to get that car hopefully back on track to see him race his way through. Saw the green, got to see the checkered, and support the mates all the way through to the end. See the Griffins go and get every single one of those cars across the line as they've been trying to do time and time again. Stephen Milano-James and Ernest Limburg continue their fight. Aurel Jar and Daniel Mutsuma are keeping close with one another, with Christian Fengler way up the road at the moment. He's going to be quite happy on his chase as Martin Spritzer into pit lane. Rafa takes over the lead of the race. Begor Krobler and Christoph Peterson holding on to third at the moment, who's not able to get the run. Miles Stone, Stephen Milano-James, Limburg's having to come on by, and he needs to clear Milano-James as quick as possible to get at least fourth in this race to keep the championship points alive. For Stephen Milano-James, remember, he was out for a race and holds sixth in the championship at the moment. For him, that's easy going. It's easy points. Just keep going in this race. He is tied with Jason Beam on 32 points. Sean Skitter is sitting on 34, only 2 points ahead of him, and he holds on to fourth place. So there's an opportunity for Stephen Milano-James to really capitalize on some good running. Henry Platt fighting out against Richard Van Heerden. Now Richard is going to be doing everything he can to keep moving forward in the gold division, but he's got Henry Platt on the tail of him that needs to try and move up through the order for his championship hopes at the moment, to see if he can keep that little bit closer on his debut run to take the championship. Ruin Heineke puts the pressure on from behind. He is in the Diamond Division. Darren Christie keeps the pressure on Paul Fenter, who's just up the road from him. with 16 minutes to go. There's still all or nothing. Bago, Krobler, and Peterson continue to fight it out. Stephen Milano James sets the fastest lap time of the race. That immediately gets snatched back by Limburg's, only just a fraction behind at the moment. Limburg's wanting to keep that fastest lap time of the race because that is a single point that can help out. If for whatever reason, if Peterson just falls out, he will have that extra point in the bag to keep within the running. But he needs to try and get past Stephen Milano James to keep fourth in the run. At the moment, he is staring at a 5th place and looking at championship hopes fleeting. Yet again, another championship coming under pressure. Ruben Heineke and Henry Platt continue their charge on at the moment. Heineke unable to get past Platt at the moment. Will be just eyeing out his opportunities here, seeing where he can get on by, or if he's going to sit and just focus on carrying the momentum through right the way to keep the pressure. Milano James goes out wide, and you could see there's a big look for the likes of Limburgs as Rafa takes the fastest lap away from Limburgs. Rafa, who is in title contention, now has the fastest lap of the race for the Diamond Division and has got a little bit more space. He is relying on Bago Krobler to go and take away as many points away from Peterson. So he has the opportunity at Bathurst to really dial it up. For Limburgs, it is now critical. It is crunch time to get the fastest lap back, to stay in the championship fight. Oh, and he loses it. Limburgs loses it, saves it in the dirt, but that is lost out the run to Milano James. That is not what he wanted to have. And now we start to see the pressure come on. Peterson looks for the inside. He does see Benjamin Till open up the distance. Benjamin Till, part of Team Wolf, opened up the gap to allow Bago Krobler and Peterson to go that little bit further in for the running. Benjamin Till's going to be happy on this one. For Krobler, he's got to hold the line. He does everything he can, gets the drive out. It is going to be side by side into the final corner with Bago Krobler able to move his way through. Bago is lying 9th in the championship, so this is not for title contention, but he is the cork in the bottle that will change what Diamond goes into next week for the finale. Henry Platt and Richard van Heed fight it out between one another, and they got Ruben Heineke, all 3 in different classes, all 3 from South Africa, that are putting pride on the line to move their way through. Darren Christie and Paul Fenter having a go, with Paul Fenter getting the drive through the chicane. With Darren down into 22nd. Oh, it's a little bit of contact from Bago Krobler and Peterson. Peterson giving a little bit of a nudge to Bago Krobler, but Bago was able to save it. Opens up the gap now to a second. He now has a little bit more room to play with. A little bit more room to run that little bit further. Henry Platt keeps the pressure on to Richard. The two of them are working with each other. Just that little bit of time. Soaking it up at the moment. Both sitting with a smile on their face. Mon Spritzer keeps up with Ulrich de Jager just ahead of him. We are seeing a championship going down to the wire in all 3 classes, folks. All 3 classes. If it stays as is, if all drivers hold station, we are going to be seeing Bathurst down to the wire. Down to who crosses the line first. Limburgs retakes the fastest lap of the race away from Rafa Sosa, and now digging deep to really close up to Stephen Milano James. That is a point back in his favor, with Rafa, who sits on 63 points coming into this round, now leads out the race, loses out that extra point which he has scored at Suzuka, The likes of Christoph scored it at Laguna Seca and Limburg's scored it at Spa. All three have held the fastest lap at some stage of this championship. We have got notice though, bit of contact coming in with Darren Christie and Paul Fenter. Let's quickly go take a look at that one through the chicane at the moment. Darren Christie having a go at Paul Fenter, and this is into the hairpin. And it does look like Christie lays on the brakes. Fenter really ran it out wide. Both going out wide. A little bit of light contact between the two. Nothing to write home about. And now just holding station. Stephen Milano James now dealing with Limburgs yet again. Daniel Mutsuma onto the back of Christian Fingler, who holds gold first place. Christoph Peterson in third. Takes back the fastest lap of the race. That helps him out for the championship here, as he can't clear past Krobler. He's going to do everything he can. Mutsuma looks on the inside of Fingler. Couldn't get the drive. Fingler needs to keep ahead of David Young, who's got Finley Gamble on the back of him. Lewis Knight is a bit far back at the moment and will be kicking himself. Richard Van Eed and Henry Platt side by side. They go. But unfortunately, Henry running out wide. Now has Ruan Heineke having a go at him. Heineke couldn't quite get the run. Richard goes for the solid defense. Both drivers going and opening up that run. And now it just creates the concertina as David Roth, Lewis Knight getting involved into the fight as well to see where they can go. With 10 minutes and 14 seconds left of this race, the race is on. The pressure is on. Classes, top to bottom, are at a chance here. Christoph Peterson looks to try get past Bego Krobler. Couldn't quite clear him as yet. Hard on the brakes. In through the long left-hander. Peterson dealing with the fight. And it's contact between Richard and Henry Platt. Two different classes have now crossed swords and landed up into the dirt. So let's quickly take a look at what happened. Richard runs out a little bit wide, but slow on the exit. Platt got a good run on behind him. Richard holds him back. Under braking, looks for the inside. Oh, Platt got it all out of shape. Under braking, went into the back of Richard, and unfortunately landed with both of them into the weeds. And that was just now a big run for both down the order. 23rd and 24th. Championship hopes on both sides starting to slip away, both trying to consider what do they need to do to move forward. Limburgs and Milano James, Daniel Mutsuma and Christian Fingler fight it out between one another, and likes of Daniel, who is in the platinum division, fight out against first in the gold division. Limburgs trying to clear past Stephen Milano James as they fight out for likes of fourth position in the diamond division, running 5th and 6th overall. Monspritzer and Ulrich Diago are close to one another, with Finley Gamble just up the road. David Roth and Ruan Heineke going and giving it everything they got. Henry Platt and Rich Fineta going to go side by side, very, very wide. Platt trying to go around the outside. Moscow Racing driver trying to take the fight to Richard Fineta from Project Vapor Racing, and the two of them continue on their brawl. Despite being at the back of the field, they're going to give it all. Daniel Mutsuma on the inside slows it up on the apex to get ahead of Christian Fingler, who didn't fight way too hard there, considering two different classes. He knows he doesn't have to put the pressure on just as yet, but now needs to carry the momentum. Finley Gamble, Ulrich Diago, Martin Spritzer having a go. Nicholas Porras loses out to Ruan Heineke, and now has David Roth onto the back of him. Everyone looking to carry the momentum forward. Every single driver with 7.5 minutes to go here tonight. Henry Platt into the dirt, and it looks like Richard and Henry to blows yet again out on track. The two of them not having an easy time, with Richard and Henry going and coming to blows at the moment. This is what happened. In through the chicane. Richard into the dirt, trying to come back. Oh, just no control on the dirt. snapped into Henry, and that little bit of impact landed Henry and Richard into the pits to get some repair work on their car for the last little bit. David Roth, Nicholas, Mon Spritzer, Ulrich de Jager, and David Young. But looking at it from the outside, Richard was on the dirt, and the car spat back onto the road, landed up with a contact, and that took both drivers into the wall. Finley Gamble with a drive-through penalty. That's going to drop him out of the top 3, bring Ulrich de Jager into the top 3 of the gold division. Christoph Peterson having a go at Bego Frobler. Stephen Milano James has got right onto the back of Miles Stone, and he's trying to fight it out. Miles leads out the Platinum division with Chris Wall in second, and the Platinum and Daniel Mutsma hold on to third. But now Limburgs sees that Miles has got the likes of Stephen Milano James caught behind him, and now needs to try and capitalize to box him in, try and see where he can get that pass to happen in his favor. Stephen Milano James guards the inside line. Here comes Limburgs around the outside, both trying to go side by side through the chicane. Couldn't quite get the drive. Limburgs trying everything he can, desperately hunting for that position. David Roth and Nicholas Boris fight it out. Platinum and Gold division continue their way through. Richard in the pits trying to get his car sorted out. Henry Platt leaves pit lane. Now we'll be trying to make up some time. So Richard and Henry got some work on their cars, but both drivers, despite all that have gone on, will see it through to the bitter end. And once they see in the green, they're going to see the checkered, which, you know, hats off to the drivers on that one. That's the whole plan. If you, in the time of adversity, you got to get that push. You got to bite it through and see where it all comes in. But that has completely changed the complexity on both the gold and platinum championships at the moment. Both drivers feeling the pressure, and now we'll have to fight it out in for the last round. Sean Skitter turned round and unfortunately pointing the wrong way. Keeps an eye on the rest of the field as Patrick comes on through. He sees Paul Fencer comes by. Does see Rafa as well, now putting a lap on him. Henry Platt back into pit lane, now trying to get himself sorted out. Henry Platt into the pit. Something not right on that car, and unfortunately now going and trying to get himself sorted out, hopefully to get that car back out on track. Limburgs gets all over the back of Stephen Milano James. They've got Miles Stone, who's racing for track position. Don't take it away from him. There's nothing that says that Miles has to clear out of the way. Christoph Peterson looks on the inside of Bego Frobler. Can he get the drive? Bego around the outside, trying to snatch it back. Peterson keeps it hooked on the inside. Wants the second place. Bego leans on it to get it done. Runs out wide. Can he keep it all together? He does so. Peterson gets the drive. Trying to come back at him. Looks for the inside. Looks for the outside. Cut back after cut back between the two of them with nowhere to go. And it's down with 3 minutes and 25. Peterson, who has got the fastest lap, is now scratching his head. He is fighting tooth and nail to try and keep ahead, and now has got Bego Frobler all over the back of him. For Limburgs, it is critical. It is absolutely critical to get past Stephen Milano James. It is critical for the championship, but for Peterson, first place in the championship is going to come down to the wire. It is going to come down to the wire. Bego Frobler has every opportunity to work out here as Milestone runs out wide. He does have Stephen Milano James get by. He does have Limburgs come by. And Stephen holds the line against Limburgs, who needs this position. Peterson, desperate to get the pass done. Desperate to hang in. Dives for the inside line. Bego around the outside. Dabs the brakes. Trying to get the nose to switch back in. Both front engine monsters brawl it out for the last 2 minutes of this race. Ulrich de Jager and Ren Heineke trading places with one another. Allows David Roth to get a bit closer. Limburgs and Milano James continue on. Henry Platt goes back onto the track. to see it through to the end. Roth up on the inside of Ruben Heineke. Oh, contact between the two of them. Ulrich de Jager gets a run, not only on his teammate, but continues his way through. Steve Milano James gets past Rich Van Eert at the moment as they try their run. And that is Miles Stone, more than happy to get that little bit of clearance, and it causes Limburgs to fall that little bit further down the order. Desperation creeping in all the way round. Our drivers throwing hammer and tongs. Bago holds the line. Can he get the drive out of the hairpin as it's side by side? Peterson now on the racing line. Krobler holds the inside line. Looks to try and make his way through. Rafa clears on by as this will be into the final laps, folks. This is it to try get it done. Milano James and Limburgs see each other through, and exactly the same time for Bago, Krobler and Peterson changing gears. We saw the flames out the side at the exact same time. What a synchronized effort, and both fighting it through. For Limburgs, it's now or never to get it done. For Bago, Krobler, this is going to be the run of a lifetime. Can he force Peterson into a nightmare situation for the final round? Rafa, who's 12 seconds up the road in the Diamonds, is going to be happy. Milestone leads out the likes of our Platinums, Chris Warren, Daniel Mutsuma further down. But I do think that we've got a problem for the likes of our Diamonds. This is Christian Fingler, David Young, and Ulrich de Jager hold on to the top 3 positions. For Christian, he's having fun. This is great. He's not worried about the championship, but is the cork in the bottle as we keep an eye on these two. Rafa will be taking the victory, but who's going to have second? Rafa comes across the line and takes the win here at Donington, but around the final corner, Peterson not able to get the drive. Bago Krobler will take second place ahead of Christoph Peterson, forcing the championship down to the wire. Stephen Milano James holds back to likes of Limburgs. Milestone takes the victory in Platinum. Chris will take second place in Platinum with Daniel Mutsuma in third. Christian Fengler running down to the wire. David Young right on his tail, trying to see if he can go and gain that top spot. Oh, Christian, send it down to Bathurst for the gold division. Here comes Christian round the final corner. David Young too far behind to try and get that pass, and will have to settle for second place. Rilja finishes up in 10th, followed by Mon Spritzer. David Roth loses it right in front of Heineke, loses out that little bit of time. Ulrich de Jager will take third place in the gold division with Nicholas Boris, Lewis Knight further down, Darren Christie, Finley Gamble, Patrick Bells, Paul Fenter. My word, did it go insane at the wire. Did it go insane, folks? Well, I can only say my voice is shot from that one. Holy moly, Oli, you can't get any closer for the championship. You couldn't get any closer in racing, and the pressure is now on right the way through. We heard Henry Platt confident in getting top of the log. Unfortunately, that all changed in his race. Richard Van Eert, who was also quite confident to move forward, unfortunately, his championship all changed as well. And we now keep an eye on what's next. Let's take a look at some of the highlights as we get to have a chat to some of the drivers. Kicking things off, Christian Fengler going to come and have a chat to us, and who took the victory in the gold. Christian, welcome back to the circuit. You've been on and off this season, but a victory here at Donington Park. How are you feeling after that?
Yeah, well, it's I'm just absolutely blown away. I did not expect anything, and it just came out great, I would say.
from a tremendous qualifying to the race, how was it out there? It got a little bit busy further in the mid-pack where you were sitting.
I mean, qualifying was pretty good on my end. I got in what I wanted to achieve in the end. I think that a couple of people were not so lucky with the laps, but I have to say that Donington is quite a hard track to qualify at. And as it's even harder to overtake, this has set a lot of things in motion. And then I guess you saw it even more than I did, the whole trouble and rumble around the track in the first few laps that shook things up a lot and left me with an easy first stint where I could manage away a lot. And that feeling just couldn't quite continue after the pit stop because I got a heavy puncture quite early on. I was driving around with a good 0.8 pressure loss and made it even to 1 point something in the end. The car was slowly becoming undrivable. So yeah, I'm absolutely happy that I could just manage this home somehow.
Now, Christian, we've seen you having a little bit of bad luck in the past. Now, with grabbing a victory here at Donington, do you feel that things are now swaying in your favor in the world of sim racing? And then I've got one more question, but I'll save that for a little shortly because it's really going to change things up. But anything from your side, Christian, knowing that now you're back onto podium places where you've been hunting down before?
Oh, well, it's as often, the mindset is very important. And I think only when you take the races relatively relaxed is when you can perform at your best. And I had a hard time doing this for a long time. And just coming back with the pressure out that I'm not quite a title contender at the moment just really got me a good result here, I would say.
Well, with that being said, you have just changed the entire dynamic of the gold division, taking the victory here ahead of Mr. Young, who is currently second in the championship, which has now brought things a little bit closer. How does it feel that you've now made the championship for the gold division go down to the final race of the championship?
Well, if that's the best I could do, I would say I'm pretty happy with it. I think that Young certainly would have liked to take the victory from me, and he certainly would have deserved it. Like, his qualifying was stellar, and he had a good amount of race pace. But yeah, from my end, I'd probably just lay back in the next race, drive around and enjoy the show with also many people sweating like stupid.
That's it. And if you happen to get a victory there, well, so be it. That's always the way to go in conquering the mountain. Christian, before I let you go, I know that you're quite busy behind the scenes with the Master Series, getting ready also with the Drive for Dean event a little bit later on this year. But anything you want to say to the absolute legendary petrol heads out in the grandstands, to the drivers and teams competing here in the ERA Sunday Championship?
Indeed. This time, actually, I want to address something that I haven't done in a long time, and that is my staff crew. Because during my time not racing, I was also not very active with managing so many things. And they have just absolutely shown that they can function without me, which is a bit sad for me, probably. But no, in all honesty, it's a great thing to see because they all care so much and everybody, has their functioning place. Really glad that they did this and really happy with how the boys are holding this up. This is not a one-man show. Props to you.
Absolutely wonderful. And thank you once again for the epic opportunity to be part of the ERA family. For those that also want to come and get involved with the racing, feel free to link up on our Discord. And also, if you want to come to our training days as well, whether you are a veteran or you're new, everyone's welcome to ERA. Christian, congratulations on your victory in the gold division. We're looking forward to seeing what you can do at Bathurst, and we look forward to the racing up ahead. Lots of info to come out, so keep an eye on the ERA channel and also keep an eye on the Discord. Christian, thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely wonderful to have a chat to the man, the myth, the legend that is one of the difficult drivers to find. Well, we got to have a chat to Christian Fengler. Now, with that being said, we've got a couple of drivers to have a chat to in our Platinum before we move on to our Diamond division that went absolutely mad out there. And let's have a chat to our second place driver in the Platinum. Let's have a chat to Chris Wall. So while we're getting him mic'd up, Chris, welcome to the commentary box. Second place in the Platinum. How are you feeling with that one?
It's been a while since I've been in the commentary box, but it's good to be back. Well, I didn't expect that result at all. If I'm being honest, I think there was a lot of luck in there, and absolutely no way I was getting anywhere near Miles tonight. So P2 maximised any result I was ever going to get. So I'm chuffed, dude.
It was a difficult first stint for you. How was it out there from your point of view? We saw there was a lot of movement going on, a lot of strategy planning, and also just trying to get it right through some of these very, very tight and quick corners to not land up in the brakes. We saw your teammate, Sean Skitter, unfortunately landing up into the weeds once, twice. How was it out there for you?
Yeah, sorry, you're breaking up for me quite a bit, Stephen. The first stint, there was a bit of a contact with Heineke, which was Constantino. I think he slowed down for a crash ahead that I just was blind to and didn't see. But the first, I always planned to go a little bit shorter first stint, start on my used tyres, just stay in and around the mix, and then pit for my fresher tyres just before the halfway point, and hope I get kind with traffic. It was kind of lucky that I didn't come out in any traffic. I was a few seconds ahead of Chris, so that really helped going into the second stint as well. So yeah, just sort of a lot of things went right tonight, and in racing, luck forms a big part of it.
Well, that being said, it was a very, very good race. Heading into the final round, what's your game plan? You were fifth in the championship. You've scored a couple of points now. Sebastian Luxon, Ricky Buckler, unfortunately not here tonight. They've also already used their drop rounds, which means that you're in for the top three contention. What's game plan heading for Bathurst?
My contention is that I am on holiday, so I'm not racing. So I was never going to be here for the final round anyway. So yeah, this is my last race of the season, this one. So it's good to end it on a high. I won't be able to race my favourite track in the game because I'll be on holiday.
Well, with that being said, before I let you go and to start packing your bags for the holiday, anything you want to say to the drivers, to the teams, and to our legendary petrol heads out there in the virtual grandstands here at ERA?
Yeah, well, thanks for the guys for tuning in and watching. Don't forget to subscribe. We're still trying to get to that 500 subscriber mark, and to everyone that sort of works tirelessly behind the scenes to make ERA what it is as well. Everyone plays a part, and it's great to be a part of it.
Absolutely wonderful stuff. Well, enjoy the holiday, and we look forward to having you back next season, refreshed, ready to go, and moving forward for the championship. Chris Wall taking second place in the Platinums, and more than happy on that one. And, well, with that being said, get some information coming from Chris Wall on our Platinums for the likes of our Gold division. Lewis is now 2 points ahead in Gold, heading into the final round with David Young. And for Platinums, it is now Miles Stone who leads out ahead of the pack with likes of Henry Platt, 9 points behind. Miles, welcome to the commentary box. And man, oh man, a race that has now turned the championship in your favor. How are you feeling?
Oh man, it feels pretty amazing, honestly. Because I just looked at the results as well. I had the pole fastest lap and also got the win, which was giga for my chances. And seeing that the competition also had a few unfortunate races, it actually turned it around for me. And actually makes it really satisfying to actually get in here and finally could do some performance that I'm satisfied with after Laguna.
Now, I've got to ask, because you have been at the championship helm once, twice, three times more. It's now an opportunity to go for the championship in platinum. What's racing through your head? What's the emotions that's going through the head right now? Because this all swayed right into your favor, but you're not out of the woodwork with Henry Platt 9 points behind you.
Honestly, it's like a really nice back and forth, by the way, which Platt is making it like really fun. Actually, most fun I have had in championship in a while, and I really appreciate it to have like this rivalry, and it feels amazing to have a bit of advantage. But in the end, I take every race just like every other, try to do my best, and do as much practice as I could, get in there and put the time down, and hopefully do my best week in and week out, even if I was out of the championship, like at the start of the season with 2 drop rounds due to unfortunate incidents. But I think right now for Pano, it's just one race, it's just one last time. Just got to keep it on track and actually do my best, and hopefully the rest will come in.
That's it. You got to keep your head in the game. Miles, you had an incredible lap time in your qualifying as well, so lots of momentum moving forward. Before I let you go to cool off after a very difficult race, I know the cars were quite hot, but the temperature was cold on the outside. Anything you want to say to the teams, to the drivers, to your rivals in the championship, and to the legendary petrol heads out in the virtual grandstand?
As always, I thank the fans, everyone watching, the drivers that are keep coming back every week and week out, the staff always, the stewards especially. We are tiring them a lot, and to the coaches, to the admin, everyone just in here, to the commentators, and I appreciate it a lot coming from everyone. And I just wanted to say, like, in the end, anything can happen. This season is showing that people that you never expected are jumping up, down, championships. People that I, at the start of the season, didn't think it would be even competitive, like we're fighting for the championship. And the moral of the story is just to keep your head in the game, to keep showing up, keep doing your best, and the results will come, hopefully. And like at the end of the day, even if it doesn't, this is a hobby we're just trying to enjoy, and as long as you're having fun, it's just the best thing to do, just to keep doing it and keep having fun.
Absolutely. Milestone, thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations on going and fighting it out to the top. And we look forward to the final race at Bathurst happening next week, and well, seeing if who gets the crown at the end of it. Milestone going and putting in a great performance. Now, let's talk about our Diamond division. Oh boy, I know there's one driver right now that is sweating, properly sweating, because it's been quite a few seasons where he's come down to this, the final race to move forward. Let's bring in our champion, multiple-time champion, that's had to fight for the crown over and over and over again. Christoph, welcome to the commentary box. 1, well done on the fastest lap. But 2, 1 single point between you and Rafa now. And seeing the fight between yourself and Jan Bego Grobler, how are you feeling after that? Because it must be a bit of joy and a bit of frustration at the same time.
No frustration at all. I feel amazing. It was a beautiful fight, and the situation for the final race is also amazing. Like it's really unlucky for Ernest that he spun that one time, and because otherwise I'm very convinced he could have won this race, even with the rough 15-second penalty. And also, it's like the 1-year anniversary of our team right now. So this would have been cool, 1-2 or 1-3 or something. But yeah, congrats to Rafa. He recovered very well from his like lap 1 incident or lap 1 half spin or whatever he had that I profited from, and came back and took a lot of points today to make
Wha-
it more exciting for the next one.
Well, I mean, first, take us through this race because it was a mixture of emotions. You got your pit stop done, and then at the end, it was just gloves off brawl between yourself and Jan Bago Krobler. You both had each other's number at the end. Take us through the race from your point of view.
Yeah, I went for my good old strategy that I've done in nearly every race this season because it worked so well, of like doing very long first stint on worn tires. They held up really, really well. I overpressured them a little bit because this track has a lot of sharp curb edges that kind of destroy your tires over time. And yeah, so I could go all out in the second stint. I even dropped back behind Bago to do the fastest lap one time because I really wanted the point. That now also makes the difference again. And yeah, it was cool to have these like new fresh tires with low fuel in the end because that meant the battle was even better because I had a lot more grip and I was close to utilizing it in some corners, but he held it so well, so it was a really nice battle, really nice race in general.
Now, I've got to ask, you've been in this situation before, back against the wall, game plan, Bathurst. I mean, this is it. This might be you've gone 9 lives already holding that crown. This might be the time that the crown might shift. What is your game plan? Your back's against the wall. You've been in this place before. What is the champion, Christoph Peterson, gonna do for Bathurst?
Yeah, so it's a bit of a weird situation also mentally because I'm sitting here and at the same time I want someone else to win because 9th title would be, well, quite a lot. But at the same time I want someone to beat me. I still want to win myself, of course, and I don't want to gift it to anyone, because then it also feels better for them if they won. So I'm going for the win. I only have 5 seconds of a penalty. The race is very long. It's 90 minutes. It's mixed. It's going to be a hard challenge for me in the Mercedes because I've never really driven it at buffers much, and also in mixed weather, it's not going to be as easy as in the Honda. And Ernest has a good car advantage in the last race too, if it rains. And also Rafa, not many might remember, but one of his last races before this season in Era was Bathurst, if I remember correctly. Oh no, there was one season before he left, but he dominated the last Bathurst race he was in. So I expect him to be very, very fast. So this might be very exciting, and I'm not going to say anything about strategy yet because I haven't really thought about it, but I think I'm going to come up with something interesting.
Gotta think a lot into it. Well, before I let you go, anything you want to say to the virtual grandstand, to everyone in the background, but to the drivers and teams out there, and I know you've got some fighting words for everyone in the championship that's looking to dethrone the king of ERA.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching, especially one person that watched today for the first time. And yeah, fighting words. Yeah, let's fight it out in the last race, honestly. I hope everyone in the Diamond Division shows up. Unfortunately, the 2 people I called out last time didn't listen, apparently. Maybe I have to DM them. And I also hope Darius comes back. He said he might make it for the last race. He was busy with work today. So yeah, maybe we can come with force and make this a race where you don't know who will win until the last minute.
It's going to be the gamble. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Christoph. Well done on your 3rd place, and well done on a tremendous fight here at Donington. Christoph Peterson out from Fear the Bones Logistical Nightmare Racing Drive. But let's talk about a driver that got his teeth out tonight and will have the grandstands howling from every corner of the world. Let's bring in Jan Bago Krobler. Bago, welcome to the commentary box, my friend. Wow. Oh, wow. How are you feeling after that one?
Yeah, how's it, Stephen? Yeah, that was rough, eh? That was one hell of a race. So, like Chris said, the racing was incredible, and just really happy to be a part of it. That was really, really enjoyable.
I've got to ask, have you managed to pry your fingers from the steering? Because it looked like you were doing everything with that Mustang at the end, trying to fight off understeer, trying to slow it down on the apexes. I mean, that just became a car to really just grab it and try and throw it around.
Yeah, it was tough. Sort of the whole first part of the lap, the car was okay, but the right hand and then the left hand, after the chicane, the right and the left, as you end the lap, the car was really, really bad there. Sort of in between TC levels where TC5 would just bog down way too much and be way too slow, and TC4 just spin the rears. So I was really trying very hard to keep Chris behind in those two corners specifically. But yeah, I think at the end of that race, I didn't have to pry my fingers off. They just kind of fell off, if I'm being honest.
And we did see the likes of Benjamin Till mining out of the way. Was there any conversation of just please move, just don't be any, fall off the circuit, like just disappear when you suddenly had the Mercedes right underneath your wing?
Nah, so me and Ben obviously together in Team Wolf, and Ben unfortunately had some bad luck tonight, so he wasn't really racing anybody at that point. So when he saw us on the relative, he just jumped out the way as soon as he could. Yeah, I think we were sort of chatting throughout the race, but no real strategy chat really. I think I stayed to him with like 14 minutes. I don't know, it felt like we were fighting forever, and I looked at the time and I saw there was 14 minutes left, and I just said to Ben, dude, I don't know, I can't do 14 more minutes of this. And he sort of had some encouraging words there, so yeah, thanks to him as well for that, and yeah, worked out in the end.
I highly recommend going back on the stream and watching it. It was great stuff. But not to take away, scoring second place here tonight has moved you up, heading into the top 5 in the Diamond division. You've come into the world of ERA, heading into a top 5 as in the championship. There must be quite a bit of motivation to do well at Bathurst, to really stick it to the front end of the field.
Yeah, look, I like Bathurst. I generally go well there, but I haven't driven the Mustang there much, so we'll see how that goes. And then obviously if we do get a bit of wet weather, then that doesn't really play to the Mustang strengths. So we'll see how it goes. We'll give it our best shot, but ultimately I also don't want to ruin somebody's championship. So yeah, I think tonight the plan was sort of to stay out of trouble, and like when I came out down the pit straight and Chris was coming out the pits and I saw I jumped him as well, I was very surprised. But I think at Bathurst we'll give it our best shot, but we will be mindful that there's a big championship fight happening as well. So we don't want to ruin anybody's championship.
I think it's now you've got to go in for a bit of bragging rights here from South Africa. You got to really lean on the button. Christoph said he wants a fight. Well, that was the fighting words. Don't think it's to give out yet, and we'll make sure that the Kangaroos are right away from the circuit so you don't get caught out with that. But before I let you go, anything you want to say to everyone out there in the virtual grandstands, to the teams, the drivers joining us here at ERA, any one of your team and supporters from the sidelines as well, and any last fighting words, considering you're fighting for the championship top 5 against Sean Skitter, the likes of Jason Farmer, yourself going in having a go, Stephen Milano James also being involved in that fight.
Yeah, I mean, look, they won't. When I say we need to be mindful that there's a championship, I just mean we won't be pushing it to the point where we do something silly, but there certainly won't be any free passes being handed out. So, yeah, and then the guys that we're fighting for the top 5, those guys you mentioned, I actually haven't looked at the standings in a while, so I don't know exactly who else is involved. But yeah, it's a long race and it's going to be tough. So let's make it a good one. And then just to everybody at ERA, it's my first season with them, and I joined a bit late, so missed the first 2 rounds. But it's incredibly well run and put together, and it's a joy to be a part of. They do an incredible job. So to everybody involved there, thank you so much. And yeah, Stephen, to you that just fill my YouTube feed daily. Thanks to you as well for keeping the comms going and doing a wonderful job there. And then yeah, just to everybody that watches, and especially everybody from South Africa that knows us from Raceface and Monday Night Racing and all those places that also jump over here to support us at ERA. Thank you so much to you guys, and to my team. It's only me and Ben racing in this ERA series, and we had Jared on the stream, and we had Derek on the stream again supporting, and we had Ewan during the week on the stream as well. So thanks, boys, for showing the support. And yeah, we'll see you next week. I don't know. We'll try and top tonight's one next week. Let's see.
Absolutely. Well done. Well, go get some rest. You deserve it. What a race indeed. And congratulations. Second place in the Diamond Division. My, oh my, folks. What a wild, wild race. Well, lots of things have gone on tonight. First time we managed to have a chat to our Gold Division and Platinum after their qualifying runs. Big shout out to Richard and Henry Platt yet again for coming and being a part of that in the early stages, but also to the drivers putting in an immense fight after quite a time. This is going to be an interesting run down to the wire of who's going to get it. All 3 classes are on the line. All 3 classes looking to move forward. All 3 classes come down to Bathurst as we head over to Australia. It's time to go down under. It's time to flip the script. 90 minutes, unpredictable conditions. It's set to random. You get what you get. The drivers have to use everything they learned, and it's gonna be a ton of fun. Folks, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Big shout out to Tim, our cameraman that's been helping out, to Jim, who has been on the button, giving us all the yellow flags, green flags, and checkered flags throughout the season. But most importantly, a massive thank you to our drivers, teams, to the admin staff, and even higher than that, you, the epic fans coming and joining us here at ERA. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit that bell notification icon. Keep an eye on the feed, folks. Bathurst, not to be missed. Same time, same place, next week. It is on for the championships of ERA. And we welcome you to our Discords. Folks, it's been a great one from myself, Stephen Koenig, and everyone here at ERA. We'd like to say thank you, and like always, for the second last time of this season, a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.